Welcome to AER Int channel, and on this occasion, let's continue to learn together about surface modeling. Before we actually start with the full surface modeling, we are going to have a look at two tools, which are technically surfacing tools, but they are actually more like standalone features that are very useful in all sorts of different situations. They are both kind of related and the names are quite self-explanatory, and they are called the delete face tool and the move face tool. And in this video we are going to have a look at the delete face. So as the name suggests, this tool deletes faces, but it also allows us to easily patch or fill faces. And we'll have a look at some examples. I've opened our previous model with the two solid cubes, and if you don't have it yet, you can make it first at the previous stage. So looking at our cube, we left the model in this state. The surface cube that we created had been knitted together, and it had been turned into a solid. But if we delete the face of a solid, we will turn it back into a set of surfaces. First, let's find the delete face. Here it is on the surfaces tab. And if you can't find any tools throughout this course, we can also search for them up here in the search bar. Just click on the drop down and make sure we are on commands, and then just start to type in what we are looking for. So for example, delete. And here we see delete face. So I'm going to click on that to select the tool. So here on the left we've got the selection box, and we can choose which faces we want to get rid of. But we've also got three different options here. We can just delete, we can delete and patch, or we can delete and fill. Let's just go with the first option, so just a simple delete. And I'm going to choose this top face here on the left. And then when we press OK, we can see that the top face has been deleted. Now if we look in the feature tree on the left, we can see we've lost one of our solid bodies, but we've gained a surface body. So by deleting that part of the outer shell of the solid cube, we've actually turned it back into a set of surfaces, even though this cube on the left was the one that we actually modeled as a solid body. So even if it's a solid body, if we delete one of the outer faces, then we turn it into a surface body. And that's because obviously if we don't have a fully enclosed space, then it can't physically be solid. That first option that we use, the basic delete, it can be useful in certain situations. Maybe say we want to add a curved surface on the top of here, or we want to manually create a boundary surface or something like that. But actually, the really useful part of this tool is how we can patch up these gaps that we create when we delete faces. Let's move to the second example model. So I'm going to press Ctrl and Tab to go between my open documents. So imagine this is something we've been asked to create by a customer. Maybe it's an injection molded cover or something. It's got a curve on the bottom here, and we have sent it to the customer. We think we are finished, and they come back to us and they say, actually, they don't want that radius around the inside. Can you get rid of it? Or maybe, can you change the size of it? Now, the problem with this is, if we look in the feature tree, that inside fillet isn't actually a separate feature. It's driven by the outer fillet and by the shell feature. So we can't just delete it directly. Maybe instead we could delete the outer fillet, and then maybe we could re-add a fillet to just the outside. But actually, imagine if we've got a really big model. Maybe we've got other features further down the feature tree that are linked to that fillet, and if we delete it, potentially it's going to mess up our whole model. We might also have just been sent this file as something like a step file, so we might not have access to any of those features. We might just have one single imported feature there. So in that case, we'd have to somehow manually cut away that fillet all the way around the inside, following that curved line. So maybe we could use something like a swipe cut, but it's not a particularly easy process. Luckily, we can use the delete and patch option to do this pretty easily. To do this, let's open the delete face feature again. Here it is on the surfaces tab. And this time, let's choose the delete and patch option. And then in the selection box, let's choose all of these inside faces of the fillet. So there should be 8 of them in total. And now when we press OK, we can see those fillet faces have been deleted, and they've been replaced by a nice square edge around the inside there. So we can then use that to add a new fillet, whatever size we want, or we could just leave it as that square edge if that's what we want. So when we use the delete and patch option, the adjoining faces are basically extended. So this side face is extended down, and then this inner face is extended outwards, until they meet each other and form a nice sharp edge there. So that's delete and patch. Let's have a look at the delete and fill option. I'm going to edit that delete face feature, just by clicking on it and pressing edit feature. And let's change it from delete and patch to delete and fill. And press OK. We should now be able to see that all of those inner surfaces, those edge surfaces that we selected, have been replaced by one single surface. But if we look at it closely, we can see it's not a very high quality surface. In the corners, it looks a bit strange, it doesn't quite join the rest of the body at the correct angle. So what we can do is just edit that feature again. And then we can select Tangent Fill and press OK. And this will mean that the new face joins the existing edges or the existing faces at a tangent. So it'll be a much nicer face all the way around. So basically, delete and patch extends the existing faces to form a new straight edge, whereas delete and fill replaces those selected faces with a new single face. We'll also have another look at the differences between patch and fill in another example in just a moment. But before we do that, let's have a look at how else we could use delete face in this model. Say for example, we wanted to get rid of this hole in the middle. In this model, it would be really easy. We could just suppress or delete that center hole feature. But as we said before, we might have other features further on in the model that depend on that feature. So it might be that we want to actually keep the feature itself, but we just want to get rid of the geometry of the hole. It might also be a part that we've imported from a step file or something like that, so we can't actually manually edit the feature tree. In this case, we could probably manually fill in that gap using something like an extruded boss base and maybe the up to surface command. But it's just a bit of a faff, and there's an easier way to do it just by using the delete face. So to show this, I'm going to select the delete face feature again. And to remove that hole, I'm just going to select this small inside face here. And we're gonna select the delete and patch. So when I press OK, what's gonna happen is that blue face is gonna be removed, and then these large faces on the inside and the outside, they're gonna be extended and patched. So if I press OK, we can see the hole is gone, and the face continues perfectly smoothly on the inside and the outside. And hopefully we can see the value of that in filling in holes and openings. Now before we recap, we're gonna have a look at one more example. I'm going to go to the third file in the selection. It's a part that looks like this. So it has a fillet all the way around the base of this raised area, but it's actually quite a messy fillet there. It's made up of quite a few different small surfaces. So what we can do with delete face is select the tool, and then we can select all of those curved faces around the edge here. And for example, we can choose delete and patch and press OK. And we see we've now got that nice straight edge all the way around. So we can either leave that straight, or we could add a new fillet with a different size. We could also, if I edit the feature and change it to delete and fill, we could replace all of those small faces with one single face all the way around. And that will make it a nice smooth surface all the way around. Now, just one thing to note is that the automatic patching or filling doesn't always work in every situation. If we've got quite complex geometry around the surface that we are deleting, then the automatic patch might just completely fail, or it might give us a really weird surface, which kind of bulges out in different directions and isn't what we want. In those cases, it's best just to use the basic delete and just completely delete the face, and then maybe we can manually create a patch using something like a boundary surface. And we'll cover how to do that a little later on in the course. So to recap the delete face feature, as the name suggests, it deletes faces. However, it also allows us to patch and fill those faces. If we fill a face, it tends to replace multiple surfaces with one single smooth surface. But if we patch a face, then it will generally extend the surrounding faces and give us more of a square edge. There's tons of different ways that this tool can be useful. In particular, it's very good when we are working with imported parts where we can't edit the feature tree. And it's also very good for things like removing and adjusting fillets and removing holes and openings. In the next video, we'll have a look at the Move Face tool, which is sort of related to this Delete Face tool, and it's also extremely useful. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like. I hope it can be a little helpful and useful.